refer it. I'd refer it.
Yeah, so I'll have to.
They're not here.
Item 9 is Legistar 12463. This is consideration of a demolition permit to allow the Royster Clark fertilizer plant at 902 Dempsey Road to be partially demolished. This is in the 15th Aldermanic District. Alder Palm, you're still here. Open the public hearing, and we have one registrant who is present and wishing to speak.
One intrepid alder from the
And I should
east
say,
side.
we also had a registration from Monty Cliffcorn, 837 Royster, registered neither in support nor opposition and wishing to speak, but I gather is no longer here.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
Mr. Palm.
hello everyone. I think this has come before you twice before, and this is the first time I've been able to come here. I'll start off with the issue with bringing number 10. The stadium bar ahead of this item, number 9. We did have some residents who were here. We had the property owner and someone from BT Squared. We had someone from DATCAP who had talked about your plans for capping it. And we had the county supervisor who's also a member of the Royster Clark neighborhood planning team. Quite frankly, they all left because you took number 10 ahead of number 9. And I think, all things considered, you should reconsider how you go for that. You did it once, you said no. You did it twice, you said yes. I don't take the applicant's sort of position that was some sort of vindictive sort of effort to spawn them or something like that. But certainly it does cause a little bit of concern when I have someone who flies from Canada. There's someone who flies from Canada to see us, and we basically have insinuated to him that we don't want to talk to him. Having said that, however, the applicant and myself and the city, I think, are at great distances from each other on these proposals. Certainly, to me, as the alder of the district, I wish I could be more direct here, but I could go either way. The building, to me, is a useful tool to have. It reminds everyone that it's a blighted property, that we need to sell it, that there's impetus to make something happen here, even in this tough economic climate. But on the other hand, certainly there's the safety and issues related to its unsightliness that some people would like to see it disappear. At some point, willy-nilly, we said something about how about a partial demolition, which is what you sort of have here before you, which is you can sort of remove the superstructures and keep the substructures. Basically, the building is not fully demolished, so the applicant would have to come back with any future plans, but which would allow us to have some choices here. We can say no, we can say yes, but would eliminate the superstructure that everyone sees and everyone's concerned about graffiti and some kid climbing up to the top. I don't know who teaches their kids to climb buildings like that, but if you're listening at 11 o'clock at night, don't climb buildings like that. So we have this sort of paradox of, the building can't stay and the building can't go. So this partial agreement was sort of created not knowing sort of all the ramifications that would come about this. Principally, obviously, the environmental conditions. I think we have gone a long ways, and I would be trusting of DATCAP and DNR about what their approval would be. They would be very conscientious of what would be needed to remediate to that point, and I think we can have good trust in them that they would only approve a cap that would protect that land from any further environmental degradation or harm to our water quality is really the biggest concern. But I'm not sure if I trust the applicant as much. One of the things that came back to us is they want to extend the time frame from which, after demolition or partial demolition and capping, that they would have to sell or somehow otherwise market the property to another developer or a potential buyer. They wanted to go from 24 months to 36 months. And I really think that that's another year that a neighborhood is going to have to wait for a decision to be made. I think we should limit the time that Agrium has to sell that land to someone who's really willing to buy. Agrium had an accepted offer. They were not able to negotiate terms. They had at least 3 potential buyers, one of which we scared away, and one that until this partial demolition agreement was brought before you, they were pretty biting. They were going to go for it. They had skills in demolition of properties, of brownfield redevelopment, and they were interested, and they were doing some pretty good negotiations with Agrium until Agrium found another way. And that's where we are today. They broke off conversations with them and didn't go any further. One thing I didn't tell you today was we also had someone who came to watch to see how this was, who also is interested in the property. I have an email from someone else who is interested in the property. So there is interest in this property, and I think that all things considered, Agrium is trying to get everything. They're trying to get a high price, no liabilities. Their negotiations is they want this property to be a revenue enhancement for them. And they're doing that at our costs, not necessarily our financial costs, although I guess we could all deal with a little more tax revenue. But the neighborhood costs, the blight costs, you know, Mark coming in to work every day has to see the building costs. Twice a day you come into work? You're a hard worker. So there's those costs that I'm sure you're well aware of, that Agrium is putting our community at risk on. My problem is that, of course, either way you go through this, Agrium controls this property. They are the owners of the parcel. We're not about to, I don't think the city of Madison is about to just take it over. It's a difficult economic climate, so even if you had really willing, negotiating people who wanted to buy the property, you know, just like the first players, I don't know if a deal could be struck. I don't know what Agrium is looking to acquire this property at. I don't know what other sort of issues they're dealing with. I do know that there's a neighborhood out there, 2 neighborhoods out there, who are really looking for some answers, and we're not finding it through this process. One of the neighborhood planning team that we have developing, and Heather and Michael and planning staff is on that as well. We've sort of slowed down because we need to answer the question about demolition. You can't have a public meeting and talk to them about the future of the site when we're coming in front of you, because they're all going to want to talk about that. And we want to have sort of like what happens after Agrium sells and disposes of the property and someone comes forward and says, hey, we want to develop it. And I think we have some pretty good ideas about, in a bigger sense, about how we want to do that and what is in the special area plan. But with this sort of hanging over us, you know, you can't sort of have these public meetings and discuss these things. Their mind's not in the future. Their mind's in that building. So, you know, demolish, don't demolish, I think they're really sort of both sides of the same straw. The big thing that I have is don't give up the store to the owner of the property who, in all fairness, started off strong, was wonderful to work with, and then is slowly, like air in a tire, sort of deflated. And it's been really hard to negotiate with them from a city perspective, and I think staff and others would agree that they haven't been the most forthcoming on this, and it's been hard. And I just think that